Today I want to talk about the fact that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Given all of the challenges of this time, it's especially important to have this discussion right now. First of all, we know that we are living in an extra stressful season. Our routines are disrupted. We're isolated from one another. There's grief and lots of anxiety, not only about the coronavirus itself, but about finances and social animosity and the general climate of uncertainty. Second, we know that an estimated 450 million people worldwide have mental health conditions. That's our family and our friends, our neighbors and our colleagues. That's us. There can be many factors in play: biochemistry, genetics, trauma long ago or not long ago at all. It's a part of the human experience. And third, we live in a society that focuses on competition and comparison and profit, rather than prioritizing well-being and wholeness and our communion with one another in the sacred. And it expects people to adapt to the system rather than the system adapting to the needs of people. Too often all this swirls together to create a climate of stigma, shame, and confusion. That's wrong. One of the church's essential roles is challenging and dismantling structures and norms of oppression in all their forms, and in creating spaces of community support and human engagement. Even one of the Bible's most notable figures had some tough moments. In 1 Kings chapter 19, we read this about the prophet Elijah. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a solitary broom tree. He asked that he might die. "It is enough now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am no better than my ancestors." Then he lay down under the broom tree and fell asleep. Suddenly an angel touched him and said to him, "Get up and eat." He looked, and there at his head was a cake baked on hot stones and a jar of water. He ate and drank and lay down again. The angel of the Lord came a second time, touched him, and said, "Get up and eat, otherwise the journey will be too much for you." He got up and ate and drank. Now Elijah had an actual angel to come along and help him, but we know that angels come in many forms, like mental health professionals who care for you when you need it. You need to know there are places you can reach out to if you're in a crisis. You can call the crisis line here in Central Alabama 24/7, and I'm going to show this information again in just a minute and post a link in the comments. There's also a National Suicide Prevention line, and these days there's even a text crisis line. You can reach out there by text if you're feeling lonely or depressed or anxious for any reason, if you're being bullied or emotionally abused, if you are at risk for self-harm or suicide. That's what they're there for, and they want to help. There are also some great organizations with local chapters: No More Martyrs, and Yes, I Have a Therapist, and NAMI. And there are also church resources. In my denomination, the United Church of Christ, there's the Disabilities and Mental Health Justice effort with a congregational engagement approach called WISE. At Beloved, we were already planning to make mental health concerns a major focus of the second half of 2020. And in these times, there's all the more reason to do so. The United Methodist Church, on their Resource UMC page, has resources for mental health ministries. Our ecumenical friends out there in the Presbyterian Church USA have a mental health ministry. The Unitarian Universalists have resources around psychiatric disabilities. And the ELCA Lutherans have a mental illness study guide. And you may know of other faith or non-faith resources, and I encourage you to share them in the comments. We, as the church, can strive to educate ourselves, to reduce stigma in our communities and make them more caring in non-condescending ways and more genuinely inclusive. And we can strive to change unjust systems and inequitable cultures around mental health. This, my friends, is the work of the church and its people. Amen. I'm Reverend Jennifer Sanders, pastor of Beloved Community Church, United Church of Christ in Avondale, and this has been Saturday's East Side Lifeline.